Aliens, UFOs, conspiracies. What does that make you think about? What if I told you you could summon UFOs with your mind? That's exactly what the close encounter of the fifth kind developed by Dr. Stephen Greer, or the CE5 method, allows you to do. My friend Rob Florio has mastered this technique. Today I'm going to show you some of his awesome UFO videos and a little short introduction about him. I think you're going to like it. Check it out.
Robert Florio never lacked for friends. He was a star athlete. Baseball was his favorite sport. It was the summer of '96. He was 14, getting ready for the All-Star game. And then,
in a swimming pool at a friend's house, hurt my spinal cord, C4 level.
Now, this boy who dreamed of joining his heroes in greatness would never be on a baseball card again.
I didn't want to live. That was my thought.
Just like that, Robert was a quadriplegic with virtually no use of anything below his chest.
I take one day at a time. I cherish every moment.
What he does above his chest is nothing short of remarkable. Artwork became Robert's purpose after the accident.
I don't have to rely on someone to get me a cup, to do something for me, change the channel. All this is all me doing it.
His talent has been recognized by the leader of the free world and anyone else who sees it.
See that blinking for me? Right there. See it? See that blink? It's blinking for me. That's a star.
Here we go. Okay, hello, welcome to UFO and the Joe channel. I'm Luke Dercher. We have a special guest, Rob Florio, on the channel today. Rob Florio has a lifelong interest in UFOs and quite an interesting background and story, and I'll let him tell it himself. So go ahead, Rob. Just tell us about yourself and what got you into UFOs.
Well, hello everybody. You're in for a treat for
Okay.
sure. Hang in there on this interview because you're really gonna want to watch this.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm Robert Florio, or Rob Florio, and I'm 40 years old now. When I was 14, I had a spinal cord injury and I dove into a swimming pool. And I used to play sports and it was really bad, really devastating. And I got into art, painting with my mouth. Um, I wrote a book called Life, It Must Be a Comedy. There's a digital copy on Amazon. RobertFlorio.com is my website. See my artwork, all my stand-up comedy. Yes, I said stand-up. I use a wheelchair. I'm from Maryland, the Glen Burnie area. So, yeah, man. I've got an interest in making video games, accessible video games for people with injuries to help them heal. And so what got me into it was like when I was 7 years old. Okay, I was in my backyard and I shot a bow and arrow into a tree and I walked up to the fort to pull it out. And no wind at all. And this being like 4 feet tall, this green skin, big eyes, like just staring right at me. And I was like, whoa, what was that? Right?
Uh-huh.
So recently now I've been getting into like CE5 and stuff like that because I was curious about healing my spinal cord. And this is where it gets really interesting. So, I mean, that's a little brief synapse of me.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
I had a quick question. So, did you ever like try to draw a sketch of this alien that you saw or this being?
Yeah, I've never sketched it, but I'll try to do one for you. Um,
Okay.
yeah, he's,
Okay. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
oh no, no, he was kind of looking naked though, like a greenish, brownish skin, like scaly a little bit, and these big eyes and kind of like a frowning face, and yeah,
Like
they're bizarre looking.
kind of the stereotypical big eyes like a you see on a gray, like the big black one, or was it different than that?
No, it was more like a his face was more rounder.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, skinny body. Weird thing was when I went back with my friend and my two brothers on the ground, there was this perfect dirt mound of like an oval shape, and it was perfectly smooth. And we looked down at it, and there's like peanut shape pressed into the dirt, like stretched out peanut shape. And I never knew what that was all about until recently in 2017 they unearthed in Peru these alien mummies, and on the chest plate of one of these little aliens, it looks like the typical gray. Um, they did DNA testing. There's even one that's like 4 feet tall, just like the one I saw. But this one has like eggs in its belly, the little ones do, and this like metallic thing that's like pressed into its chest. It's
Hmm.
really crazy.
You said this mummy. How would I find out about this mummy? Like if I'm searching on online,
I believe you just look up alien mummies of Peru, and
alien mummy of Peru.
you'll find it. You'll see.
Okay,
Yeah, you'll see
I'm
there's
gonna
like
check that
two
out.
smaller ones. They're
Okay.
like 24 inches tall, and there's one that's like 4 feet tall. She's definitely bizarre with three fingers and three toes. It's just you know yeah, man,
Um,
interesting stuff.
Okay, so tell me more about this UFO healing or the healing aspect of it that got you interested. Because I wasn't even aware that that was a thing. I didn't know anybody.
Yeah, this is what people don't really realize about the UFOs. It's the future is so beautiful, and if we could connect with these people, and you'll see a UFO in the sky, and everyone's like immediately like your brain goes right to Hollywood, scare the crap out of you, and these things want to suck your brains out, and it's a national security threat, which I found out it's all a lie.
Yeah.
It's just another, yeah, it's crazy. So I was studying Dr. Stephen Greer, and he was talking about doing CE5, which is human initiated contact.
Hmm.
He goes out in the middle of nowhere, and you can do this anywhere really. And they meditate, they go within, and they broadcast the signal, a thought to their location, to where they are. And when they open their hearts, okay, this is the core of it. When you open your heart, okay, the planet needs to shift, and people need to do this because we're going a really bad direction. And when they do that, these beings show up, and a man had his hearing healed. You know, so that's where I started. I got really into it. I go in my backyard. I follow the CE5 protocols on the CE5 contact app, and I started practicing and getting deep within myself and just connecting to like a higher positive energy, like that unboundedness of yourself. And I would open my eyes, bing, something would shine right at me, like as soon as I dropped into that state.
Uh,
So that's where I've been like trying to and get involved with them. I started getting frustrated with it because I started actually getting them to walk around my room and visit my back door, and you know they wouldn't exactly come in and say hi. So it was kind of like, what's going on here? There's something deeper we need to like look into, and it's a very spiritual experience.
mhm. Um, yeah, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so I've heard some talk of like the aliens being like interdimensional beings and then even kind of relate to religious figures or maybe are like angels or somehow related to this or demons or something like that. What do you think about that? Like that that's like if you're kind of maybe in the right state of mind, like you can access these interdimensional beings. Is that kind of what it is?
Okay, so here, this is another one of those areas where a lot of people are their fear meter in their heart is way too high on this planet. Imagine humanity a million years from now advanced, like evolved. That's what we're dealing with. This is not just like 100 years a bit. There's so much variety coming to this planet right now that yeah, it's super easy to misunderstand them as a demon or an angel because they
Uh-huh.
don't look anything like what you would expect. Some of them do,
Uh-huh.
and you know, immediately people want to go right to this racist like feeling of, oh, I'm gonna trust the white ones because they look like they're from Norway and they got long hair and white skin. Those are the
Mhm.
good ones, and the bad aliens are over here. It's nuts. When you first get into it,
Yeah.
your tendency wants to go there first because that's what you've been saturated with from Hollywood for so long.
Mhm. Oh, I was gonna say too. So this CE5 stuff, did you learn it just by the app? Didn't you do like trainings too? Like I
Yeah,
guess my question is like I know how to meditate. Like I've tried meditating, but that's not the same. There's more to it, right? It's more like there's some kind of thought process you have to go through to guide the aliens. Could and how long does it take to learn that? Like, say if you know you have a little bit of experience with meditating, how long does it take from getting to an amateur meditator to a CE5 pro? Like, how do you get there?
experience. You just have to go out and do it and try it, and you will be astounded
Uh-huh.
what will show up. At first, it can be a little scary. You want to do it with groups of friends. If you're out there by yourself, you might be like, "Oh, my surroundings are a little creepy." Um, but a half hour, really, if you're honest with yourself and you truly look within and you go into that unbounded part of yourself where
Mhm.
you're inspired, there's no obstacles in your way. You have this clear intent thought and an elevated emotion. And if you just sit with your eyes closed and you just play with that energy between your mind and your heart, and you signal, hey, is anybody out there? And you kind of like do this protocol where once you get into that deep state, get there first. That's very important
Uh-huh.
because their technology is integrated with consciousness, like to a level of perfection. They
Yeah.
know where you are. You don't really have to tell them or show them mentally your location, like on Earth. You can
Uh-huh.
try that. And what I would really recommend is after you practice this, like notice, become a scientist and just figure out what did I do this time that made them come? What
Uh-huh.
can I do again? You know, um, and tell them if you're having fearful thoughts, like say, hey, can you help me with this? Like, say, can you show up in this form because it's something that's friendly to me, and they'll
Uh-huh.
do it. But yeah, and another thing you can do is if you're with someone you love,
Mm-hmm.
like let's say you're with your girlfriend, and this has happened to me a few times. Um, I'll meet a girl and I'll be like so in love with her, and my heart is just so wide open. You know that feeling, right? Like that's a different feeling. You
Mm-hmm.
know when you're there because you feel it, like in your soul.
Mm-hmm.
In that moment, ask them to show up. Just pick a spot with this guy and be like, "Are you there?" And they will. It's like it's just so cool because
Mm-hmm.
you're at a different level. You're resonating on their level more. And thing is, they're always there. It's like Uber in the sky. They're
Yeah.
always there. Just once that veil is removed, some veil is removed from your consciousness into your subconsciousness now. You know in your gut that they're there. They're always there. They could be in
Uh-huh.
another galaxy when you're reaching out to them. And then because their technology is like they can go anywhere instantly, like they just appear.
Mhm.
It's really magical.
My wife.
It's not that difficult. That's one thing I found out too. Is it's astounding how well it works.
Uh-huh.
Um,
I was
it
gonna
really is
say
a new
that
world.
that almost sounds kind of like praying. Like if somebody is convinced like they're praying to God and God is like acting in their life or showing to them, like it, it, could that be aliens? Could they be you know, if there's something, some presence around them that can interact, maybe that is what people think is God, or I don't know. I'm just
Yeah,
speculating.
it's very easy because the quantum field interacts with the astral world.
Uh-huh.
You know where our light body goes when we come out of our body, or when you sleep and you have a lucid dream. Um, I've discovered that ETs they are masters of that realm. You know they because by definition, if if a craft is coming from another planet or another solar system or another galaxy, the speed of light's wait, they're too slow. They're not using Exxon fuel to get here.
Uh-huh.
That's for sure.
No, yeah.
And that's actually, I'll get back to that topic. That's one big reason why there's such a national security threat lie. Because it's alternate propulsion technology. That's the issue here.
Uh-huh.
That's what we have to wake up to. But when they're coming here, they're dropping in and out of dimensions to get here.
Uh-huh.
So they're interdimensional extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can say that. I mean,
Uh,
that's kind of like a praying is it to ETs is it's not so much praying to an ET.
uh-huh.
Um, it's more just like they only care about you know your genuine heart. Are you genuinely opening your heart? Are you
Uh-huh.
interested in the benefit of all human beings on this planet and universal peace? Really, those three things is all they really care about. So if you want them to show up, it's kind of like the lesson they're teaching you is, can you drop into those states? Can you sustain it? Can
Uh-huh.
you really genuinely connect with us? And then
Yeah.
everything opens up from there.
Uh-huh.
And then they start exposing themselves.
Huh. Let's see. So
Yeah.
you said you've had quite a bit of experiences and you have like videos of this, like pretty good videos. So do you typically take out your camera with you and just kind of try to capture stuff, or does that ruin the experience to pull out a camera and film these things, or
No, it doesn't ruin the experience. I would recommend if you're doing this, always have something recording.
yeah.
Because some of them will pop in and out so fast, you just wouldn't be able to photograph
So
it.
you're just kind of recording the whole
Um,
time, and then I think I've even heard Stephen Greer say like, right, so after you look at the video, you see some figures or things appear that you didn't see before in the video could be there. So you kind of just record the entire time.
yeah, you record, and then I keep notes. Like if I see anything or
Uh-huh.
heard anything, I'll take a note of when I saw it and what the date and time and just a brief description. So when I go back to my recordings, I have a much better compass of finding that what I recorded.
Hmm.
And you can ask them, like say, can you please show up in this way, in this form? You know, excuse me, and just pick any part of the sky or part of your yard where you are and keep your intent on that spot. You'll
Uh,
be astounded what they do. They'll come to that exact spot.
I'm gonna have to stop you for a second. My baby's crying. I gotta go check on her. I'm gonna stop the recording here for. Sorry, I gotta go step away
Okay,
for
yeah.
just a sec.
Okay.
Boogie, boogie, boogie. Resumed. Okay. So right. So back where we were about like how long or how hard exactly is it to get from being someone who's just kind of familiar with meditating to being somebody who can uh, do the CE5 human initiated contact with extraterrestrials.
Well, I've been at it for about 3 years.
Uh-huh.
When I first started, it's a little bit of like you get better at it.
Uh-huh.
You notice, you notice like your energy, like where your heart is, and what they respond to, and when um, you start playing with it. It's kind of like interacting with dolphins. You just have to be playful and with it. It's a beautiful experience.
Oh, so like how long
Like
did it take you to start noticing anything or like how long were you like when you first started you had to just like sat in a field and just kind of waited and how long did it take you to start noticing things?
my first try.
Oh wow.
I'm telling you, it works.
Huh.
Um, yeah. You just take a little bit of time to drop into that state of being, and they're happy. They're like so happy when people do it.
Uh-huh.
They're like, oh, a new person. They want to show themselves to you. Um, but when you start getting frustrated with it and you're harboring angry thoughts or
Yeah.
fear, it definitely blocks this
Yeah.
connection.
If you're just sitting there like, damn it, why aren't the aliens showing up? I'm sitting here.
Yeah.
Come on.
Here's a funny story. Recently this year, in one of my recordings, I have a nurse, and when she is here to help me, like her energy is so different than a lot of the other people that help me, and immediately, like I just feel a new energy in me. And we were just joking around, and I was talking to her like about, hey, I want to meet a girl. I want to walk up to them and be like, hey, I'm here. What's your other wish? And I
Uh,
was like, I want them to show up right now. And I went back and looked at my footage, and right when I said right now, bang, it showed up in the sky.
uh-huh.
So it's like it's so wild. Like if
Yeah. And this is in the daytime?
no, this was at night.
Oh, at night.
It works in the daytime too. Yeah.
Well, what do you see in the daytime? Because can't really see the glowing as well. Or,
Oh no, you see it. No, no,
uh,
no. If they want to be seen, they'll be made. They'll show. They will reveal themselves. I saw a very bright shining orb go across the tree line like
uh-huh.
3 years ago. I had the two people from MUFON come out, and one with one guy, Mark, and another with his wife, and another woman, and my friend. So there was like four plus me, five,
Uh-huh.
and I was meditating in the house before they came over. I was like, "Can you guys really just show up and really be cool to like for this to work?" And we went out in the field in front of my house, and within 10 minutes of setting up, they showed up.
Wow.
We didn't even get into meditation yet, and they were there. It was like, oh my
Uh,
God.
so is it always kind of these glowing orbs, or have you seen like any of the like classic flying saucer or any other kind of shapes?
It's mostly glowing orbs.
Uh,
You can ask them to show up and show you like different form.
uh,
Um, but recently, it's been, I've had one where it was like this yellowish, like oval craft, like it was semi-transparent, just appeared and then shut like across the sky a little bit. Um, they even show up as like shooting stars. Like
mhm.
you'll think it's a shooting star. I'll ask them to do that. Like, can you please streak across the sky for me? And it's
Uh,
always as soon as I drop into that state, the deepest state, like where I'm like unbounded the most, and my heart is wide open, and I'm just so confident that they're there. boom, there they are. Like it's like you could be like, if you weren't in that state and you saw that, you would be like, oh, that you just saw a shooting star. And you
Hmm.
start correlating it with what you're asking and feeling, and you're like, no, that's something responding to me.
Yeah. I had another question. So, you've heard about this healing that they've healed people, that this is possible. I'm sure this is, if you could just ask them, they would do it. That'd be something you would want. Like, but I feel like I was saying, like if you got frustrated with the CE5 experience to begin with, and you're like, damn it, why aren't they showing up? But I imagine you're like, damn it, why aren't they healing me? Why aren't they just heal me? But
Yeah.
like how do you get there to be somebody who the aliens want to heal? Like what?
I think from what I'm experiencing, it's not like a 1, 2, 3, here I am, I want to heal you. They kind of want us to like meet them halfway into
Uh,
that state of being. Um, because I've had moments where like I was really like upset at something. Like I think it was like my ex-girlfriend and I at the time were going through something, and I had to push through those feelings. So I went outside and I was like meditating, doing the protocols, and I had to overcome some really intense emotions. And I achieved that with a greater energy. And that night I was dreaming, and all of a sudden, like I became aware in my dream, and I'm laying on this table, and I'm in a dark room, and I see these like classic gray aliens with the big eyes, like reaching for me with their fingers, like leaning over me, and there was a guy on another table next to me laying flat, and I just started laughing hysterically because I was like so happy to be with them finally, like
uh,
in the astral, like they kind of like did that for me. So, and then I became aware of it and I woke up and I was like, damn. And another time happened to me and these like they showed up as like these white ghostly looking humans, and
uh,
then one of them ran up to me in my dream, and he turned blue and he looked right at me, and like it looked like he was wearing like blue lipstick and just had like a blue face, and he said, we're coming to take you to meet them now. And I was like, oh, and it kind of like startled me, and I woke up. So it's kind of like you have to practice this. It's you know what I mean. You got to get like to that comfort level where when no matter what form or how they show up, you're used to it. So it's a little bit you're dealing with extraterrestrials, so it's kind of like I don't know, man. It can be frustrating. So
yeah.
that's the one thing I've been trying to get teams together to join me, because when you're with a group of people, the energy is so much higher. Um, you know what I mean? You're inspired, you're uplifted, you're encouraged. You don't
Uh,
give up. You're talking with someone and they see something, you see something, and then you go back. It's so that's I'm trying to figure that out. That's just
right. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, like
I
is there
agree.
some sort of spiritual nirvana that you have to reach that they'll just show up? Is that how it works?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can say that for sure because um, I think this was about 5 years ago. I haven't didn't catalog the exact date. Um, Before I started following Dr. Greer and the CE5 meditations, I was in my bed and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I had this bright idea. I was like looking at the doorknob on my bedroom door that goes outside. It's right next to my bed. And I was just staring at it like, man, it would be awesome if I could like move things with my mind, like, because I can't use my hands. And I was like, how the hell with it? I just felt super like into the idea, and I went in all in for like an
Uh-huh.
hour or two. I was just meditating and uplifting myself and imagining myself walking up to the handle, turning it, and like if it actually you know, opened and like how that would feel. And I just played with that, and I was just in a calm state, and joyful, and and then the handle went clink clink. And I'm like, holy shit! Did I really do that? Like my dog started barking, and she went to the door and pushed the curtain to the side, the bottom, like where the window is, and I saw this like green glowing face with black eyes looking at me. And immediately I thought, oh, that must be a cat, right? And then I was like, wait a minute, cats don't have thumbs. They can't turn handles.
Uh,
Oh my God, this must be an ET visiting me. So my dad came downstairs and he was like, what's going on? I said, you gotta open that door. There's an ET out there. And this is the guy we've been waiting for to meet. I think he's gonna help me open the door. And he was like, no, 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 no. He was scared to open it. I got so mad and angry that he left, and never came back. And I was like, so you see what I'm saying? I wasn't even
yeah.
inviting the being. I dropped into the state where
Mhm.
he could pick up and sense it. Hey, somebody around here is like on my level. Let me go check them out. And it
Yeah.
was kind of like that. It was really cool.
I have a kind of another a kind of related question, maybe unrelated, but so I was kind of talking to one of my friends I talked to about this a lot, and he's really into like Bob Lazar's story and believes that Bob Lazar's, telling the truth that they did possibly have an alien craft at Area 51 or S4 but how that feels like it's in conflict that with that these are interdimensional beings because according to that story, these are real physical beings that have real physical technology that we could even try to replicate. Whereas I feel like an interdimensional being you couldn't capture them. They could just phase out of your round, your plane of existence or something. You see what I mean? Like how does that reconcile with there could possibly be alien technology that we could even replicate or use? Do you feel like that fits
Because
in with the story?
not exactly because they have to get to a place. They have to come into this dimension at
Uh,
some point. That so they are real. They're physically
yeah,
you can touch them. It's just they're so far advanced they can do basically anything they want. Really,
yeah. So that begs the
I
question.
think they're
So
real.
if there was a Roswell crash and and they caught one, like how could their technology must be like magic compared to us? How could it crash? How could one make a mistake and just malfunction and crash? Or
I know,
according,
isn't that like a funny paradigm? It's like you're
it,
so advanced, but you can't master like landing. What's the deal here? Like,
yeah. So another part of that story, a lot of ufologists said that the Roswell crash was caused by us, that we had developed some
yeah,
sort of weapon to stop a UFO, or essentially like I've heard it was like electromagnetic EMP pulse that kind of just
yeah,
turned this thing into a brick and just made it fall out of the sky.
yeah. It kind of like piggybacks on their signal and disrupts their navigation.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
So how does
it,
that?
there's so much going on that we don't know about. That's it's sad. It's kind of like we're kept in the dark on technology that could help people like me.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that another topic like on this topic. So if there really is like this, what do they call it? Like 0 point energy or this energy source that would really just make petroleum obsolete and just make all our power plants obsolete. Like there must be a huge like infrastructure for just keeping the conspiracy. I feel like there must be like some sort of like if there's say that there's MIB agents that can deploy anywhere in the world, where are they based at? Where are they looking? Why didn't anybody? see them. I guess I'm just trying to gauge like how big is the conspiracy? Like I've heard people say
Bigger than you
like
can fathom.
like yeah, I had a friend that he walked out in the morning and looked at the sky and he saw uh, trails in the sky, you know, and he said, "Oh, those are chemtrails, and those are full of chemicals that are trying to kill us." Like, well, I don't know if I exactly buy that. I know I'd like to see some, you know, evidence of that. Like, if that was true, I feel like some people
But in
take the
general,
conspiracy.
yeah, that's in general, the things that we're burning and putting in the air are environmental stresses that
Uh,
stops the body from
I'm
doing
talking
functional
about he
things.
saw like a jet. You know how a jet has a contrail in the sky. You know, if you look up at the sky during the daytime, you see a jet go by. It makes a trail, a contrail, and this is like a vapor trail.
Yeah,
He sees those and he says those are poisonous chemicals, and they're trying to poison us. That's the deep state. I just don't know if that it really goes that far that there's like a deep
yeah,
state tried to poison the air or the water forest, or I feel like some people go really off the deep end with that.
yeah, they do. But in general, you can't deny that that stuff is really bad for our environment. To breathe that in, that's kind of like, the $1 trillion issue here. The
Uh-huh.
issue is it's alternative propulsion technology. It's estimated that 1 cubic centimeter of space, just right around you, has enough energy in it to light up all the power of the United States for one day.
Uh-huh.
So,
Right.
we're kind of at like a tipping point here on Earth. And it's kind of like the CE5 is beautiful because apparently, it's only going to take 1% of the planet to wake up and consistently stay on that thought of the
Mhm.
benefit of all mankind and for people to wake up. And that resonating energy will influence the other 99%. So it's kind of like, they can't stop everyone, That's
Mhm.
why we're doing this together.
Yeah, so yeah, I guess I want to talk about that more. So I guess so Dr. Stephen Greer's kind of idea of disclosure and how that's going to happen is kind of like what you're talking about. If we get 1% of the world to kind of tune in to this CE5 method or open their hearts to these beings, then what will happen is the beings will just show up in the sky or show up in the White House and say, "Hey guys, we're here."
No,
That's not. I mean,
they'll
that's not
never
gonna happen.
show up at the White House.
Yeah.
The if the president of the United States is kept in the dark on this, do you think, like I know Dr. Greer says, people in politics just, put their finger in the air and they whatever direction the wind is blowing, that's where they're gonna go. It's it's
Yeah.
it's a gradual process where it's kind of like, you know, people come forward and the right people can bring the technology out. Um,
Uh-huh.
but it's one of those things that when they do decide to really reveal themselves, they're going to need people like me to interact with them, to know
Mhm.
how to talk to them.
So I guess my question is, how does that look like when that happens? Say that hypothetically does happen, and we do get everybody on board with this and doing CE5. Do the aliens just show up in the sky and make a big light show for us, and everybody's like, "Whoa, holy shit, they're here!"
They do things very deliberately. They're very smart.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it'll be worldwide televised.
yeah,
It'll. I mean, Dr. Bird talks about him having visions in his meditations. Where he's an older man, and a very ancient being comes out of a craft and lands, and it's broadcasted live all over the world. I've had dreams. Yeah, I've had dreams about that as well.
uh-huh.
Um, or part. I was there when this happens.
That's awesome. I
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
I had another thought on this. So uh, the CE5 method, they're hypothetically going to bring us disclosure by everybody doing this method. But I feel like MUFON is on a different page, and they're saying, well, what we're doing is we're investigating all the UFO cases across the country, and I think to like determine if there's some sort of pattern or if there's a particular vessels that show up in a particular spot or related to some certain event or something. And I feel like that's their way to study it, and then hopefully come up with some proof that everybody accepts. I think what I think is the goal, and but they're like two different approaches to the same problem. I feel like they both want disclosure. MUFON wants disclosure, and Dr. Stephen Greer wants disclosure. They just have different methods, and as far as I know, Dr. Stephen Greer doesn't investigate any of the UFO cases. He just teaches the CE5 method, and that's MUFON's territory, I think.
Yeah, the MUFON, it would be nice for them to come out with more statistics, like, you know what I mean, like put together like a, I don't know, a documentary or something. Just, you know,
Hmm. I feel like they
it's hard
have
to,
all this data. They
yeah,
have all the data in their in their management system, their website. But I feel like somebody does go through data. I heard a MUFON representative say he goes through that data, and a lot of it's garbage. Like a lot of it's you can't discern what it is, or it really could just be they're not
yeah.
great pictures. And he goes through a
Mhm.
lot of those, and then tries to find the most interesting or the most better looking pictures, I guess. But I don't know that anybody's, as far as I can tell, MUFON's not functioning very well. And I think there's somebody that should be looking at all this data at a national perspective and then giving us reports on this data. I guess that MUFON newsletter kind of does that, but I don't know. I'd like to see
Right.
somebody find some trends in this data, like tell us like, you know, maybe that's something that they could find a trend that the UFOs show up with these CA5 experiences, and like the two could meet and say, here now we can kind of control the UFO sightings and kind of create our own UFO sightings, and then make see what I mean?
I think
Like,
some of them are doing that because I've had a couple of MUFON members come out to my CE5 events.
yeah, yeah, it's too. I'd like to see MUFON's find some patterns or trends because I know MUFON's been operating since 1969, and so what have they released that the public has you know accepted as like this is some evidence of a UFO conspiracy? And I don't know if MUFON's doing that, like if they're really pushing their message and people are receiving it. And
Yeah, I have to look more into what they're actually doing with their data.
yeah.
But I understand what you're talking about. This is um the thing I think with people is that everyone's like, "Where's the evidence?" And it's in plain sight.
Hmm.
It's like if you go out and do this, you'll have results. You'll see for yourself, and
Yeah.
that's what it takes. Is take the people going out and doing this.
Hmm.
See for yourself.
You mean like doing the CE5 method?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and it's you know it's gonna change the world. I mean, you know how the world is. It's so bizarre and
Hmm.
rooted in greed and selfishness. And it's like the people in the power, they want someone else to take the issue over. They don't want to do it themselves. They don't know where to start. It's
Hmm.
now we're in electric cars. It's like we're transitioning into a newer technology, something But it all comes down to the alternate propulsion technology, because that's that's the meat and potatoes, really.
Hmm.
That's what's going to change our world, and that's what Dr. Greer is working on, getting these technologies like shown to people and getting, famous people to like support it.
Hmm.
And what happens is they come out with this technology and they want to patent it first, or they want to come out with like a business plan, and right away
Hmm.
it gets decapitated, or they get, somehow these people just
Yeah.
disappear. So it can't be, it can be monetized, but
Hmm.
first the world needs to know how to make this technology, and then have these companies come in and build, products off the technology. But the exposure needs to be shown how to do it.
Hmm.
Want to hear an interesting story about um you were talking about um when what's his name, Bob Lazar, was describing what the craft looks like.
Hmm.
Um, so when I meditate and do CE5, sometimes I'll ask the ETs to give like my parents or someone else in my family, dreams and visions to collaborate what I'm doing.
Hmm.
And I don't know, like later on, I'll find out they'll have a dream. So my dad was cutting my hair. We're watching this Bob Lazar special,
Hmm.
right? And he's cutting my hair, and Bob Lazar is describing what he saw in the craft. And my dad's cutting my hair. He goes, "You want to know something crazy? I had a dream where this UFO spaceship came to visit me, and he said I was in the spaceship, and I asked, 'What's making this thing fly?' And they showed me this room. There was like several, like 3 or 4 different levels in one room. He said there were these like triangle panels that were equally separated from each other. They were lined up, and through the middle was an opening, and there was this shaft going between the panels, like back and forth, that was creating a field." And he said that's exactly what Bob was always talking about. So I
Hmm.
was like, wow, he was
Yeah.
describing it exact. And my dad's not one of these people that would like sit there and ask to, show me,
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying? So it's like it's really cool.
Yeah. Um, I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Is there anything you wanted to like promote, like your documentary?
Yeah, I'm working
Uh,
on a documentary that takes a lot of what I've been doing since my injury and just tells the story of what
uh-huh.
of me really, and how I'm trying to help other people through like my video game design ideas, and how I've been reaching out to the ETs, and just it's a very uplifting and inspiring. I hope to
Hmm.
have it finished, by early next year.
Yeah.
I'm editing. Yeah, and other than that, you can get a copy of my book. That would really support me. I have a whole
Yeah.
chapter you can read about like what this one incident when I was like 7, if that's interesting to you. I do portrait work, people want
Uh-huh.
some artwork done, or,
Yeah, I think
and
you have your artwork on
you
your
can join
website.
me. Yeah, and this, I'm trying to gather some people that want to join me for CE5.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
something that we could organize. That would be really cool.
I'd be down to do that too in the future. I know I keep saying that, but
Yeah.
but I definitely want to do it soon. I want to experience it for myself because I've heard about it so many times, but I've never actually tried it. I feel like I don't really have space here. I live in kind of a condo with all these other houses around me, so I feel like it'd be weird to just go sit out and I don't have a
No,
nice
you can do it in your
large
backyard.
driveway.
You can do this anywhere.
Yeah, maybe I'll try
You can
it.
do it
Maybe
in
I'll
your
sit on my
house.
patio. Yeah, I have a little
You
patio.
don't have to be outside. You can be in your house. It's just,
Uh-huh.
it really is you. It's you're the conductor. Like how
Uh-huh.
what energy you're putting out. Like if you're confident that it's going to happen in your room, and you're just, happy and open about it. You're not, forcing it or scared of it.
Hmm.
It happens.
Okay. I think that's all I want to talk about today. I have to go back upstairs and check on my babies. Um, Thanks for talking to me. I'm gonna kind of I'm gonna end recording. That was
E.T. from home. Take me to your Lita.